welcome to Craft Considerations for our third week, and so glad you could be with me today on this kind of warm August afternoon in Kansas. I wanted to talk today about rhythm. As you read in the William Stafford quotes, if you breathe, you're in the rhythm business. And rhythm is what holds together our writing. In fact, you could argue that creative writing is basically composed of sensory images, what we see, smell, touch, taste, and hear, and rhythm. And rhythm is made up of sound on sound, of silence and space, of speed and slowness and stillness all combined together. No matter who you are, no matter what you're writing, you are dealing with rhythm. It could be an iambic pentameter, like I wake to sleep and take my waking slow, which is kind of like a heartbeat. No wonder so many sonnets and villanelles and other poems are in that. Or it could just be the way we speak. It could just be the way we speak. There's rhythm in everything. The more you can hook into the rhythm of what your piece of writing wants to be and ride out the rhythm, the stronger your writing will be. Here's the beginning of a great novel, Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet, and this is by Jamie Ford. Just listen to the rhythm in one paragraph. Old Henry stood transfixed by the commotion at the Panama Hotel. What had started as a crowd of curious onlookers eyeballing a television news crew had now swollen into a polite mob of shoppers, tourists, and a few punk-looking street kids, all wondering what the big deal is. In the middle of the crowd stood Henry, shopping bags at his side. He felt as if he were waking from a forgotten dream, a dream he once had as a boy. Jamie Ford here uses short sentences and long sentences, kind of juxtaposing them to build up description and to also emphasize the dreamlike quality in a little fragment at the end. And one of the ways that prose writers work with rhythm is a combination of short and long sentences, of trying to catch how people speak and pause appropriately, of letting things be said in between the lines as well as in the lines. When it comes to poetry, rhythm is maybe even stronger and easier to see and hear. Here's just a short poem by Rumi. Outside the freezing desert night, the other night grows warm, kindling. Let the landscape be covered with thorny crust. We have a soft garden in there. The continents blasted, cities and little towns, everything, become a scorched, blackened ball. The news we hear is full of grief for that future, but the real news inside here is that there's not any news at all. What Rumi does here is what many poets do. By using some short lines and some long lines, he kind of creates an energy, a rhythm that goes through the whole poem. Or here's just a line from Gerald Manley Hopkins in his Pied Beauty poem. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple color as brinded cow, for rose moles all in stipple upon trout that swim, fresh fire coal, chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted and pieced, fold, fallow, and plow, and all trades their gear and tackle and trim. He goes on to say, I guess I do just have to read the rest of the poem. All things counter, original, spare, strange. Whatever is feckle, freckled, who knows how? With swift, slow, sweet, sour, a dazzle dim, he fathers forth, his beauty is past change. Praise him. Now he also uses alliteration here, which is repetition of consonants, beginning words, and assonance, which is repetition of vowel sounds, but he uses words that sound like freckled, fickle, speckled, that sound like what he's trying to describe. And sometimes when a word sounds like what it is, we say that's onomatopoeia. In any case, you can hear that the rhythm conveys the meaning of the poem as much of the words. Sometimes rhythm can work against a piece of writing, or maybe not work against it, but be the opposite of what it seems, to show something in contrast. For example, Bruce Springsteen's pretty famous poem, Born in the USA, Reagan tried to use it as a campaign slogan song. Of course, Springsteen shut that down. But in that poem, there's this driving rhythm. It's like boom, 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 that feels all American, that feels like 4th of July. But the words of the song are about the horrors of the Vietnam War and what the veterans from that war carry with them, particularly while living in an economy where there's no work and no recognition for them. And that's a wonderful example of how sometimes a rhythm can convey one thing, the words can convey another, and together they give you a whole picture, a whole way to hear what's happening. So in closing, what I want to say about making rhythm work for you is that there's not any way you can simply think out exactly what your rhythm's going to do. It's more like catching a wave. It's more like leaning into the wind just as it goes forward and feeling it pull you. Lee Young Lee, a wonderful poet, said that rhythm was kind of like the power lines that the birds rested on. The birds were the words. So I invite you to really listen to those power lines, to hear within you the rhythm that's coming through. It might be like da-da-da, da-da, da-da, and then see what words fill it out. And also, the very, very best way to write and revise and revise and revise and write some more is to read your work out loud and hear what the rhythm has to say to you. Signing off from Lawrence, Kansas in August. To all of you out there, thanks for joining me.